Okay, so I want to share something really quickly with you guys. And I'm not going to be long, but this is something I want to point out an observation. So about 2 years ago, something came to mind about grace, the extension of grace to women. Sovereign women's talking points came out of the dark for the collective of women maybe about like 7 or 8 years ago. These conversations were being had in all types of forums and behind paywalls with sovereign women, where we were kind of like connecting the dots on a lot of the tragedies and ills of women and what you go through in society and the patriarch and all of that other stuff that's being discussed now. There was a time where the grifters got a hold of the conversation. And here's where I became thankful for that. Now the conversation is being had in a way to where women are understanding the need to do things that they've been indoctrinated. Okay, so they've been indoctrinated to center men. So now they're learning to not center men. So now they're learning to do what? Decenter men. And they're learning that decentering men is not the only problem. They're learning to change their way of thinking. So when you think about the process of learning, there's several steps that comes with that. Because when you learn that everything you've known and how you've operated has been a lie, then now it comes healing. And then how do you find healing? A lot of people look for it in different ways. So there's all different type of ways that people look for healing. So another thing that comes with healing is having appropriate responses. And when you have appropriate responses, you have pharaoh stages. You have stages that look unhinged to people. You have stages of life where you respond to things effectively in the moment and not later. You don't go somewhere and sit down and think about it. You understand that you're being abused in the moment. Do you know how many women do not know that they're being abused in the moment because they've been indoctrinated to believe another way? And that they've been told that women who respond are problematic and messy and unhinged. So women, therefore, don't do it, especially Black women. They don't do it because they don't want to be labeled the angry Black woman. So there's all these layers of why women are stagnated and delayed when it comes to abuse and it comes to them responding to it. And therefore, they don't even know what's plaguing them. They don't know the problems they have. They don't know why they're upset. They don't know why they're angry. They don't know why they feel sad because they've been indoctrinated not to respond effectively. And if they respond, then they're ostracized and they're deemed to be a problem. So when you think about sovereign women's talking points, getting to the collective of women, now there has to be an extension period. There has to be a grace period. As someone who has given them this information, whether you're a grifter, whether you're a true sovereign woman, it doesn't matter. The information getting out there was always the goal, right? Although it's frustrating to be plagiarized, the information getting to the collective of women has always been the goal. So now that the information is there, you can't really get mad at women for finding the process of now applying the new information that they learned that has come in to dismantle the indoctrination of everything that was put on them by the patriarchal structure. So the patriarchal structure is now being dismantled. So now you're going to see a host of things. You're going to see women responding in their relationships. You're going to see women losing relationships. You're going to see women abandoning toxic friendships. You're going to see women going feral. You're going to see them acting out in a sense because now they know everything that they felt in their hearts was the right thing, because I believe in my heart that women always knew. It's just that society was telling them they were crazy. So they didn't feel quite comfortable and just reacting and responding to things in the moment. But now that women know, and they know that all women know, and they know that we all share the same sentiments, white, black, Puerto Rican, and Haitian. We all share the same sentiments. The bear conversation entered the chat, and it was a beautiful moment for women. I don't know if many people viewed it like that, but it was a very beautiful moment because it showed you all the different women of various tones, situations, backgrounds, ethnicities, race, what have you. It showed all women choosing the same option. So that lets us know there needs to be a dismantling of the patriarch. Now, men catching up to the fact that the patriarch has been problematic for them as well is slowly coming in. So it's a slow progression of the patriarch being dismantled and people responding. The Pharaoh stage is a stage that before I got saved, felt very comfortable in it. And I'm gonna tell you something that's problematic about the stages of getting to a place in your life. Like for me, where I am now, I would never respond to negativity, drama, abuse, or anything because it won't gain access to even have a foothold in my life to where it could turn into a stronghold. And let me break that down for you so you understand exactly what I'm saying. God gives you discernment. And in your discernment, God is telling you not to walk on enemy territory. That is what he is telling you. Stay away from enemy territory. And he's telling you that because he already knows what's going to occur if you go over there. So he discerns you and he tells you, don't do that. He gives you a feeling. A lot of people call it their gut instinct. When you decide to walk into enemy's territory anyway, which is Satan's playground, because that's the only enemy you have, Satan. When God instructs you not to do that and you go anyway, what you've done is you've given the enemy a foothold. So you've given the enemy footing in your life. So now a plethora of things are going to occur that go against everything that you are. It's going to be a whole bunch of mess. And God is not the agent of confusion. So when you step into enemy's territory and all these things are confusing, it's always confusing when you're in enemy's territory because you aren't supposed to be there. So when you get there and now you're frolicking with the enemy. You're frolicking with the enemy's plan for your life. So now the foothold is turned into a stronghold. And then now you sit on it for longer than what you should. And now you're bound. That demonic principality has tethered to you. And the only way you can break the yoke of that demonic principality is to forgive. Love covers a multitude of sins. This is why God instructs us to love. This is why he instructs us to forgive. It's to break the yoke spiritually. If you don't know how to respond when things show up in the natural and you automatically go back to the natural instead of identifying with the blessing that God has given you, which is your discernment, because that's how you respond in the spiritual. You listen to God. And when God instructs you not to do something, you don't do it. So you don't really get to become anybody's victim once you step into enemy's territory. You hear what I'm saying? When you place focus on the person, then you pay attention too much to the natural. And if God can't guide you on how to fight in the spiritual, his way, and you aren't willing to listen to that because you have allowed demonic principalities to tether to you, The enemy came to seek, kill, and destroy, and he's done that within you by tethering to you and making you just as angry as the spirit that he sent. So this is why you don't win when you don't respond effectively. When you sit and you allow it to marinate on you and you think in some type of way for whatever reason that just because you don't say anything and just because you don't do anything, it's better. No, it's actually worse. Because there's two type of sins you can create: sins of the heart and sins of the flesh. People who tend to create sins of the flesh heal faster. And that's what I'm talking about, the Pharaoh stages. Responding when it occurs to you. When the abuse occurs, you respond effectively in that moment. It's easier for you to move on and heal because nothing has become tethered to you. You didn't allow a foothold. You didn't allow a stronghold. Therefore, you never became bound. Do you hear what I'm saying? So it's easier for you to move along. And this is one of the problematic reasons why women carry such heavy burdens, because of the contrast of what they feel and what society is instructing them a woman should be like and a woman should not do. Therefore, they never ever really respond effectively. So they allow the footholds, they allow the strongholds, and they're bound. And they're bound from situation to situation to situation. And because they have not been even properly educated on what they're bound by, now it's so many different layers to peel back for the collective of women right now today. This is why you will still see them entertaining demonic principalities that reside in men, that angry energy, that a lot of men have. They're very angry. You're going to see them responding late, very late, because now they've been educated. Now they know what's going on. There's been enough podcasters. The conversation of decentering men, the patriarch, and all of those things, it doesn't matter where you got your information from, whether you got it from a grifter or whether you got it from a sovereign woman. It doesn't matter. You got the information. And women have the information right now. And that's why I titled this video the way that I did. It's a beautiful time for women as a collective. So it in time for women who already knew what's up to now turn around and beat up on the women who just got educated. You get what I'm saying? This is why it's safe for sovereign women to kind of move away from the conversation, because it's respected that you're in a different lane. I'm in a different lane. I am. I'm in a very peaceful place in my life right now. I don't respond to negativity. I don't respond to drama. I don't argue with people. I don't do any of that. But I understand women that have just now received the truth, they are in a state of unpacking. And that can take unpacking can take 20 plus so years. When you've been bound like that, and you have not ever really had a Pharaoh stage where you just did not allow the patriarch to dumb you down and you really stood up for yourself. If you have never had that experience in your life as a woman, then you got a lot to unpack. You got a lot. Hey, Lynette. Hey, Hassan. You got a lot. And so when I see some women reach back, and I understand, trust me, but this is why I'm doing the video. This video is more for sovereign women that are angry right now because of the grifters, because of the grifters, because of people misleading the message. I get it. But the goal was for the message to get to the collective of women, and they are now doing something about it. Whether you like it or not, women are doing something about it. I see them. Whether they're just talking now and not willing to actually do a lot of the struggle that comes with being, very aware of your situations and your surroundings, there's a struggle with that. There's a struggle with that. You are going to learn that you are going to make some people feel very uncomfortable. People that you love, people who have been in your life for years, years. And I saw a video, y'all, of a woman. She was a barista, and this woman this woman had a man who to her shop came to her shop, was a regular, y'all, a regular. For whatever reason, this day, he was highly upset with his drink and threw it at her window. And I don't know where this woman got this hammer from, but she cracked his window shield. And when I seen her do that, I said, see, this is really how you're supposed to respond. It is. Would I do that today? No, I wouldn't. But before I got saved, yes. Yes. And it's like when you identify those stages of a woman and you accept them, then you don't feel to sit in a need of judgment. Nobody wants to listen to advice coming from a judgmental heart. There's far too many women who think they are doing better or they're more mature. So now they're speaking at you from a judgmental place as if they've never been there or never felt anything similar to what you're feeling. And this is why a lot of women don't want to listen to some women, because a lot of y'all speak from a judgmental heart and then you try to hide behind it and say, oh, well, no, I just this and I just know. We see you. We see you. You're judgmental. And if you're judgmental, that means you have comparison in you. And a comparing woman is the worst woman to be in any type of friendship or receive any type of advice from. She's the worst. She's never looking at you from a clean slate. She's never looking at you from a place of understanding. She's only sizing you up. She's sizing you up. And no woman wants to receive advice from a woman that's sizing them up, a judgmental woman. No woman wants that. So it's hard to let the vibe of the information that's being received flow the way that it should, because it's so many women bent and mad. The sovereign women are upset that the grifters got a hold of the information and probably reach more people. And then the grifters are acting as if they're the sovereign. So it's still that comparison level. And when you think about it and you just stop and take a look around, just stop for a moment and take a look around, you will see that all of the information that came is being applied. It's rough right now. It is. But women from all different races, nationalities, cultures, background are agreeing. That's what you got to stop to look and see. And if you can see that, and that brings joy to your heart, then you know that women will be taking the necessary steps to heal, because now they understand the information. They aren't fighting against it. They are receiving it in small doses, but they are. They are receiving it. And they may still just be applying it to men. They haven't quite got to themselves yet. But I think it was like 2 years ago that I started to notice, I said, women are receiving this. This is a good thing. We don't need to think about who's distributing the information anymore. Women are receiving it. And to me, that's just a beautiful thing. I was so happy when I seen that bear conversation. So happy. I said, wow, this is what I have been saying when I was bringing white women on my channel to interview them that had baby daddies. I remember Black women in my comments saying, I bet you all her baby daddies is Black. All I was trying to do was get Black women to understand you aren't the only baby mama. It ain't just Black women. Because I wanted women to see outside of their proximity. If you can see outside of your proximity, then you can identify the problem on a larger scale. And we were able to do that. We all know the patriarch is the problem. And slowly but surely, men are figuring it out too. They just don't want to admit it yet, because guess what that means? They lose their entitlement. They don't want to let go of their entitlement. They don't. They don't, which is why they're fighting and clawing at it, because they don't want to lose their entitlement. But trust and believe me, the things that men complain about is because of what the patriarchy set up. So the fact that it's being dismantled is only a matter of time before they start shifting as well, because they have already started to shift. You got to understand that men weren't always men. They weren't always grown men. They were little boys at one point that didn't have the strength that they have as grown men. And they suffered from the patriarch too. They suffered from it too. They suffered, from pimp culture too, because they daddy wasn't there. Trust me, they suffered. They suffered. Hey, Celeste. Hey, Summer Goddess. I want to show y'all this video. Look at this.
Sale, I was like, I need it.
What she didn't need was this. A mix of shock and fury. Emma's moves are swift. The customer's windshield shatters. The aftermath of what Emma says was a 15-minute heated exchange with a regular customer over the price of a coffee and water.
You don't get to name your own price?
But it's what the customer said she took personally.
Nobody's gonna make me.
It was a threat. It's okay for him to be outraged about the price of his drinks enough to assault me, and he is over 1.5 feet taller than me. But it's not appropriate for me to respond.
I don't know if y'all seen what he did. I'm going to replay that video, but I'm going to talk about what he did. But her response, my type of chick, my type of woman, my type of girl, a wise woman. She flat out said, it's okay for him to be upset with the drink if he didn't want to drink, but it's not okay for him to threaten me, and it's not okay for him to try and assault me. And she said, it's not okay for him to do that and didn't expect for me not to respond. This is something y'all know I used to talk about responding all the time. If I wasn't going to do nothing, I went through my Pharaoh stages, y'all. I'm in my 40s. So it's that time for me to calm down, chill, love and light. But trust me, I went through my Pharaoh stages. I had them. I did not let men just do anything to me. I responded. And because I responded, I was viewed as problematic. I was viewed as a problem. But I did not care at all. And what this woman said was right. It's okay for him to do that to me, but I'm a problem because I respond. She took a hammer and smashed his window shield. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. You don't get to throw a drink at somebody and then expect for them to just cower in the corner. She did another interview where she said women need to learn a different response instead of crying. Yes. Yes. When you allow yourself to be abused, you get resentful. This is why there's so many bitter women. This is why women are bitter, because they've been told not to respond. They've been told that. They've been taught that. I'm going to replay that video.
Sale, I was like, I need it.
What she didn't need was this. A mix of shock and fury. Emma's moves are swift. The customer's windshield shatters. The aftermath of what Emma says was a 15-minute heated exchange with a regular customer over the price of a coffee and water.
You don't get to name your own price.
But it's what the customer said she took personally.
It was a threat. It's okay for him to be outraged about the price of his drinks enough to assault me, and he is over 1.5 feet taller than me. But it's not appropriate for me to respond.
See, and I love women like this. I love women who just use their brain. It's not that you're going out of your way to do anything, but you're not about to just do anything to me. Being humble is one of the most respectful traits you can have, is being humble. But be humble until you need to be something else. When the time comes for you to be something else, you don't just cower in the corner. And I can tell you that woman walked away from that situation not feeling nothing, not feeling like, oh, he really just, because when you allow people to do things to you and you just allow it, you walk away feeling played, and it makes you want to respond. And then it's a delayed response. I did a video titled that before, The Delayed Response of Black Women. When you respond effectively within that moment, then you do what you need to do. However somebody feels about it is on them. They should have not brought the problem to your doorstep. Not every woman is going to cry and cower in the corner. And when you allow yourself as a woman to go through those pharaoh stages of life where you respond, and that's why I said be humble, but don't allow anybody to trample over you. She didn't allow that man to just throw drinks at her and she just do what? Close her window and walk away? No, you throwing drinks at my window. You're going to have bugs and gnats all at my window because these sweet drinks. Like, no. It was her response. And that's why I'm so thankful for the conversation, making it to as many women as it is. Hey, Design by Trust. I ain't seen you in so long. How you been? Hey, Organic Black. Hey, girl. It's a time to be a woman right now, y'all. I don't know if y'all have seen the shift from when we first started having these conversations to where women are now. Like, just look on different platforms. Sometimes you might need to leave a space because this space is, I can already read Organic Black's mind right now. I can read her mind. But this space, you may not see the progression that I am speaking about. But if you leave the space and you go to different platforms, you'll see it. You'll see it. Women from all different walks of life saying the exact same things about Asian men, white men, Black men, Hispanic men, Native American men, women from all different educational backgrounds. women with no education, women with lots of education. Listen, all of those things that they said was a factor, all of those things, all of those things that they said was a factor. Go into other spaces and see the variety of women having these conversations and how we all sound the same. So the problem has been identified, and it's one problem, and it's the patriarchal structure that has bullied everybody. And I want to read this comment from Celeste because it's right on point. Celeste says, I thought a thought just came to mind with what you just said. Those who feel entitled in any way may initially feel empowered, but it eventually becomes a prison. Spot on. So essentially, that's what happened to men in the patriarch, right? They have the entitlement, but now they feel imprisoned by those same rules of the patriarch. See, and this is where women got to get very, very clear about going through the stages. This is what I was talking about in the beginning of the video. Effectively going through the stages. Going through the stages, all of them. Going through your feral stage, going through your rage stage, and then realizing you can't rage forever, right? You can't rage forever. Like Celeste said, when you first hear sovereign women's talking points and you've never heard them before, or maybe you have thought them and then you hear them, you feel empowered. You feel liberated. That's how you feel. Trust me, I know. That's how I felt when I was 10, 11 years old and I got my first Alice Walker book. When I started watching Punky Brewster, when I first started seeing Whoopi Goldberg, all these sovereign figures, when I was a little girl, they validated me. They validated me, they empowered me, they educated me. They let me know that how I was feeling about the world and what I was witnessing was true. Although everybody around me told me it was not. So when you think about what Celeste said about the empowerment, there's a season of being empowered when you first hear these talking points as an adult woman, and then you go through the rage phase, and then you go through the feral stage. This is why you see a lot of these women in this space here, in this space, that have heard these talking points. You see what they're doing? You see a lot of them on panels with men cussing them out. They're raging. But at some point, you got to move away from that. Because now you got to address yourself. And you got to address the fact that you had the ability all along to never walk into those situations. You had the ability all along. It was always about you. It's just that you had been indoctrinated. And society, that is what society does. It indoctrinates people. That's what it does. And you have to have sense. You have to be wise enough to be aware that you're even being indoctrinated, because everybody else is going along with the flow and you're bucking up against it because you haven't allowed yourself to be indoctrinated. Essentially, that is what a sovereign woman is, a woman who did not allow herself to become indoctrinated. So when you see these type of conversations and you see these women spending 8 to 10 hours on panel discussions with men talking about how they are decentering men, but they spend so much time talking to them, they are still in the early stages of decentering and processing and raging. It's just very ugly to watch, isn't it? It's ugly to watch the woman. I know for me it is, but I have grace with it. At first, it was no grace. It was pure defrustration. Because it's like, why? But now it's grace. It's grace. It's definitely lots of grace and abundance of grace. I don't think they should be there I don't think the women should be on the panel discussions with the men being set up, arguing, walking into countless plays and all of those type of things that go on here. But still at the same time, it's the beginning stages. So this is why you see so many content creators, even on other platforms, raging against men because they have been wanting and needing to say these things for many years. And some women have been SA'd. Some women have been, abused as children. Some women have a long line of abuse that they got to unpack, and you don't got to unpack it. So see, this is why the judgmental tone of being frustrated with them is not needed, because you aren't the one that has to unpack whatever they went through. You don't even know the intricate details of everything they went through. So it's just best for you to shut it. Shut your mouth, because you don't know what that woman went through. And so you can sit up and you can say, hey, she shouldn't be doing this and she shouldn't be doing that. She's too old for this. She's too old for that. But you don't know what she went through. And of course, we know with Black women being a double minority, there's even more of a delayed response, even more of a delayed response. They may be unpacking for the next 20 years. And I know that sounds extreme, but it's for real. It's for real. And I think one of the primary reasons why it really bothers women when they see women going through similar things, or they can see it and they're not involved in a way, I think it's very aggravating, because they remember a time. They remember a time. And this is why I primarily cannot sit in conversations anymore, the gender war. I've graduated from those type of conversations. But there's a plethora of younger women coming up through the ranks that are having these discussions still, and they deserve to have them. They deserve to have them. They deserve to sit on panel discussions and talk for hours just like we did. They deserve it. Because the process of healing is not cute. I don't know why people think it's cute. Why do we think that? Why do we think that the process of healing is cute? Why do we think it looks good when women are finding out that men don't like them? Why do we think it's cute when women are finding out that they can't date men off the internet? It's nothing cute about making fun of them. It's nothing cute about laughing at them. It's nothing cute about that, because the information is right there with them. They're twisted right now. Trust me. A lot of them are twisted. Twisted. They are trying to apply the information and still have a man. You know how twisted that is? They are trying, y'all. How many of them do y'all see still trying to apply the information and still have a man? I mean, I can laugh at that right now for my younger sisters. It's kind of funny because I don't think they understand that it's a process. But they are really trying to do that. They really believe that they can have the conversation and still be laid up with men too. I'm just healing where I am right now as an elder. I'm an elder. It's responsibility with being an elder. Responsibility means I don't laugh at younger women when I see them going through their feral stages, or I don't laugh at younger women when I see them still trying to hold on to their little chicken dinner. I don't laugh at that. That's not what an elder does. I don't turn my nose up either. That's not what an elder does. And you sure don't get in no tug and pull with no younger women. You supposed to be teaching younger women that by the time they in their mid 40s heading to their 50s, there are no more arguments. We don't do those. But you got to allow them to have theirs. They still making their way through. This is why I say a lot of younger women don't want to hear what a lot of older women got to say, because they coming at them from a judgmental place, and they act like younger women can't see that. They see it. They ain't stupid. They just young. So there are several different stages, y'all. Listen, when I was wilding in my feral stages, my mom used to just shake her head. Shake her head. And she would tell me, like, when you get my age, you ain't gonna have time for none of that mess. There's a reason for everything, y'all. As women, just think of the beauty of being a woman. Just go down a path of being a woman for me. Having children, giving birth to children. And you got to go through the seasons of that. All women don't. Do you know how many women I meet that are mothers that think they can be the same mother to toddlers and elementary school children as grown adults? They never graduate to the adult mom. They're still the mom of the elementary school students and middle school students. They don't understand that they have to graduate. That's why I said there's a delayed response in the patriarch, and it spreads in every lane of a woman's life. If she's not able to properly assess situations when they occur for her, then it creates all this extra residue around her that she has to shift through in order to even see things appropriately. I see it so much in women. It's so many layers of the onion that have to be peeled back. And it's never pretty when it happens. It doesn't look good. It looks like a ball of mess. It looks like a ball of mess. I did an archetype series on women. And one of the women that I see struggle the most is the sequence lady. The sequence lady, I see her struggle the most as a Black woman, because she's that Black woman that tried to dodge every bullet. She tried to dodge every bullet. She did everything like how she was told to do it in order to be successful. Everything. She didn't have kids before marriage. She graduated from college, and she even went back, got her master's degree, brought her home, married before she had children, and still everything fell apart. And the sequence lady is a woman I see when it falls apart after she's done everything they told her to do in order to win. She struggles the most. So you got to understand that every woman comes from different walks of life. I seen an older woman one time do a video where she was told never to give her virginity up. She was the sequence lady. And to just wait to get married. This woman was 62 years old. And she said she used to hate the 304s, the women that she saw that was just out there having fun, dating men, not thinking about whether they was married or not caring, not, just moving on, going through heartbreaks, moving on, getting them another man. And she said she used to hate them. She said she used to shame them. She used to tell them they were 304s and men wouldn't respect them, and that ain't how you become a respectable woman. And she said, I was saying all of these things when no man ever respected me, and I did every single thing that they said you should do to be respected. And now I'm past childbearing age and I'm in my 60s, and I've never been with a man sexually, and I've never been married. And she said, I wish I would have been the 304 because they got married. They had kids. And see, this is why when it comes to all of this, authenticity is the answer. You have got to be in your authentic nature. When you are trying to do what people instructed you to do, whether it is respond to when you're being abused, like I was talking about earlier, somebody disrespects you, but because you're a woman, you're supposed to suck it up and take it. Whether it's that or whether it's just doing what everybody says you're supposed to do. When you start doing what everybody says you're supposed to do, you lose your authenticity, and that creates resentment, and resentment makes you what? Bitter. Bitter. It makes you bitter. I don't care how you plague it. This is why so many women have so much in common, even though they come from different walks of life. Because at some point, some area in a woman's life, she was restricted. Society restricts women. So she was restricted in some type of way. And even if she had the courage to be authentically herself, they were still ostracizing her then because what? How dare you be loud and bold as a woman? You are supposed to be quiet. You are supposed to be quiet. So how dare you be loud and bold? How dare you talk when men are talking? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? That's the attitude towards a woman that's sovereign, that lives in her truth. That's the attitude towards her. People are literally working overtime to stomp out her joy. And I know because that's me. People work overtime to do it. And when they see that it doesn't work, they become more obsessed with you, more resentful towards you, more hateful towards you. And it's like when I look around now and I see what's awakening in women, I can feel it. I can feel it in the air. I can feel the shifting of the mindset. I can feel that a lot of women are going or at that beginning stage of transforming themselves. They're at that beginning stage of it. And I know how healing occurs. I know how it happens. It can take years, y'all. When I first came into this space, I was 4 months pregnant. My son will be 7 this year. 7 is the number of completion. Completion. I learned so much. I healed so much. I grew so much. And the wisdom that's gained every single day, it makes me able to see where you allow the problem to enter in at. And I think a lot of people waste a lot of countless time believing that the problem is a person. The problem is the enemy. If you look at the patriarchal structure, that is an emulation of the ordained order of God. And if you read scripture and you see what God instructed men to do when it came to women, it has nothing to do. It's like a very perverted version of the patriarch. The patriarch is what the enemy created to keep men bound and to keep women bound. And God is reclaiming marriage. Marriage belongs to God. That's his covenant. So in order for God to reclaim marriage, he has to dismantle the patriarch. So if you ever sat on a panel, if you ever commented in any comment section, you were actively helping God to do his job to regain his covenant, because marriage belongs to God. I hope people know that. And so what God is doing is dismantling the patriarch. And when God starts to dismantle and break things down, you see a lot of things occur. I started talking about it early when I did my spiritual debt video. When I did my spiritual debt video, I didn't even know God was implanting the wisdom in me of the shift that he was doing. All of you were a part of that shift. If you were a part of the gender war conversation, you were a part of God's working to regain his establishment. And do y'all remember when I did the video about the shift of men? There's a shift happening in them as well. And I instructed women to stop doing content about men when you bash them. Because if you continue to do that, you are going to lose money. I did that in my transitional debt video. And I legitimately watched people who monetized where they talked about, genocide on black babies. I watched them get wiped out. And I did a video before that about the shift. It's a shift. I don't know why people don't recognize that. It's a shift. When the whole world starts moving in proper formation, that's God. That's God. That's God changing the mind of people. That's God moving the wheels in people's minds. Hello, he's saying to them. Hello, you've been fooled. Hello. And men aren't walking into the lane of what God is saying easily, because the enemy attacks men very viciously because of the ordained order: God, man, woman, children. And men, unfortunately, unless they are very wise, when men are foolish, they are foolish. A wise man knows to listen to God. Everything that God does, the enemy perverts. So when God said man, woman, God, man, woman, children, the enemy took that and he used it and made the patriarch. So what the enemy instructed men to do is to put their foot on women's necks and make them feel uncomfortable and make them feel dominated and conquered. That ain't what God said they were supposed to do. God said you are to love your women like you love the church. You are to love your wife the way that Christ loves the church. That is what God said. Not put your boot on their neck. Do you know how gentle Christ is with us? Do you know how much we fail him every day and he still loves us and shows up for us? Everything that God says, the enemy will try and pervert. And he has gotten away for a very long time with perverting marriage. He has gotten away with that for a long time. God loves family. The enemy hates family. This is why it's so hard to hold on to your family, to maintain your family structure, because the enemy can't stand it. God created family. God created family. So all those conversations we had, every time you commented, every time you sat through a live stream, every time you joined a panel, every time you gave intentionally from your heart, you invested in God's doing. Because do you or do you not see the shift and the beauty in the shift and the collective nature of women coming together and realizing what God put in the book of Timothy? Because these is all God's instructions. Nothing is new under the sun. God told us in the book of Timothy to stop letting wormy men at the head of our households. He told us that. But see, since the enemy perverted the patriarchal structure and used it against us along with perverting the word of God, right? Because wasn't the enemy snatching scripture and trying to use it and making women feel like they had to be on their hands and knees for a man? So essentially, what the enemy did was create a bunch of miserable women for almost 60 years. God is pulling it out, redirecting it. And it ain't gonna last long. So somebody or anybody gonna have to shift that conversation. Because if you keep speaking against what God is doing, it comes with consequences. I'm telling you. Yeah, Summer Goddess. Those conversations shifted. It's been about what? I know for me, it's been 7 years. I stopped having them like 2 years ago. Once I seen what God was doing, I pulled back. I also told y'all always recognize when to have the ability to remove yourself away from expired seasons. When God steps in, you step out the way. When God comes in to clean up and take back what's his, you step out of the way. You don't still keep staying there doing the enemy's work. Because right now, doing countless content against men is the enemy's work. They heard what they needed to hear. 2 years ago, it had to stop. When God says stop, you stop. You stop. It's definitely a time for women to be focused on themselves, to be looking at themselves. But you got to see that the Pharaoh stages are still weighing out in a lot of women, and God is allowing them to have that. And they're going to have that. And they're going to look up some years from now and they're going to remember where it started. They're going to remember where their healing path started. Because that's how healing is. Sometimes you never know you're in that transition and then you look up and you a whole different woman. You like, wow, so many things have changed. Hassan, you is silly. Yeah, you will look up and realize how much around you has changed and what you don't even participate in anymore, what you don't even engage in anymore. You move on. Like you move on. And when you move on and you realize the process of moving on and the steps that it takes, you can respect other people's journey without judgment. Because right now it's a very beautiful time to be a woman. It's a very beautiful time to just look and see all the information that has been instilled and how so many women are using it and applying it, and they're doing it to the best of their ability, and they are growing. Whether you would like to say they are, just because they're not where you're at, they are growing at their own pace and they are doing it. And to me, that's a beautiful thing, because there was a time where we thought we couldn't get through to a mammy. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, there was a time where you thought you couldn't get through to a mammy. You thought the only thing you could do was just walk away from it. Walk away from it. Never befriend them. Never give them any information, because they're going to be mad at you. And yes, they were kind of mad. But look, they were mad at first. But look now. They're applying the information. It's just a little slow, but I'm actually kind of happy that they're applying it. I'm happy that they're at least going through the rage stages, their feral stages, and I'm pretty happy about that. I'm really happy at where women are today. When I go on social media and I see women and they're having the conversation and they're addressing it, and I see them going through their little challenges and stuff, I'm happy for them. Like, I'm happy, legitimately happy for them. And I think it's only going to get better. It just take time. That's all. It just take time. Like, people be rushing stuff, rushing things. Like, these ain't legitimate, serious conversations we've been having. That's the funny thing to me, is people acting like we ain't been having some knock drown. You would have thought we was just talking about the weather. Whether it's rain. No, we were talking about some knockdown, serious, full blown, serious conversations. I'm talking about people was crying on panels, admitting to abuse. Like, these were serious conversations. Like, how can you expect, like, these were no simple conversations? So you got to give women the time it takes to grow and heal. And trust me, I went through it because I was frustrated at first too. Like, maybe like 2.5, 3 years ago, I was real frustrated. I was like, okay, like, this is just stupid. Like, why are we doing this? Okay. And then I just got with it. Like, you know what? You can't be like that, Angela. You know what I mean? People go through stuff that they go through, and we had some literal, real conversations. Like, we was talking to each other from all over the world, having real deep conversations. Like, give a sister a break. Goodness, like, she needs some room. You know what I'm saying? Like, she needs some room to let all that digest and work through, especially if it's something she ain't never heard before. Like God really came to me and got me together about that. Like, you really need to quit. How you gonna be giving this information out and expect people not to heal from it? They gotta heal. And I get my healing from Jesus. So, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely see the process. I see the process. I see it working. I see it transpiring for so many women. And I'm just happy. That's all. That's really all I wanted to come and say, is that I'm really happy that women are really going through the process. Finally, finally, finally. Do y'all know what it took for sovereign women to get mammies on that? Do y'all know what it took for us to drag them kicking and screaming into these conversations? They was not trying to hear us. They was calling us everything but a child of God. Okay? And some of them still is. Some of them still is, but they know they be listening. Because what do we hear, y'all? They act like they don't hear us, sovereign women. And then that's how, we hear them saying everything we be saying. So they still listening. They're still listening. Grifters and all. They still listening. And I'm happy for that. Yes, Lynette. I'm talking about it was whole wars. Whole wars. Because mammies just did not want to get with the program, bro. They did not want to believe their daddy wasn't worth a hill of beans. They ain't want to believe a man wasn't worth a hill of beans. They ain't want to believe a son wasn't worth a hill of beans. They just did not want to believe it. Okay? Gee willikers. And so now it seems like a little bit more serene. It seems like, when I take a look out there, I see all the girlies communicating, kicking it, complimenting each other. Everybody is choosing the bear. This is a good time. This is a good time. We gonna relish in the fact that it's a good time. Yes, summer. They seem a little bit nicer, a little bit nicer, a little bit more understanding. Not so mad, because they were mad, honey. And they swore it was us that was mad. They swore it was the sovereign women that were mad. Honey, they were mad. Big mad. Not the little one. Big mad. And it was hard work. Okay? So pardon me if I don't like to take a look around and see the girlies finally getting back to the girly things. Now I can start watching content that talks about hair and nails, and I can watch my sermons, and I don't have to participate in what stresses me because women are finally there. So I don't have to participate in what stresses me anymore. I don't have to participate in these conversations where I got to tell you if he punched you upside your head, he's not a good man. And you don't get it. You make an excuse for it. I don't have to sit and do long panel discussions where I explain to you that a man that's going running around cussing all women out, he's not a good man. I don't have to. I have been delivered. I don't have to sit in those conversations no more. The women get it. It's a good thing, y'all. It's the time to be alive. That the majority of them get it. It's still some scragglers. It's still some scallywags. It's still it's still some little scragglers and scallywags holding on. You know what I mean? Y'all see them holding on. Y'all see them holding on. They hold on real tight too. But even they know the truth. See, that's the thing. They hold on tight and they still mad because they know the truth. So either way, the truth got out there. That's all I'm saying. Is either way, the truth got out there, even if they ain't trying to apply it in every area that it needs, because it still is some scaglywags holding on, and they want to believe it ain't they friends. They want to believe it ain't they man. It ain't their daddy. It ain't their brother. It ain't they. You know what I mean? The scallywags still want to do that, but they know though. See, that's what makes it so delightful because they still know. So we ain't got to, I'm telling you, we ain't got to do them panel discussions no more. We ain't got to have them conversations no more. We ain't got to. The information is out there. Mission complete. Mission complete. The information is everywhere. Everywhere. It's all out there. So can't nobody lie. Can't nobody say they ain't heard it. Everybody and their mama having a gender war conversation. And all women sound the same. I don't care what you think about them. I don't care if you trying to say the things that they wasn't saying that last year or whatever. Like I used to didn't like that either, but I moved on from that too. Because no matter what you say, sovereign women's talking points is in the mouths of everybody right now. All women is talking and sound the same. They getting on these panel discussions and they saying it. They getting these men together everywhere they go, even if they lying. Even if they lying and they ain't actually applying it for real, I don't even care about that no more. Because most of them is lying. But still, they still applying it though. And they're still saying it. Y'all can't tell me that every single podcast y'all listen to, women is in agreement for the most part. For the most part. For the most part. And for that, I am joyful. For that, I am thankful. For that, I feel like mission complete, job well done. Yeah, it's a good thing to me. And that's really all I came up here to say, is that I'm happy that everybody chose the bear. And I'm happy that that woman did not just let that man throw coffee all at her window like that. Like, what are you doing, sir? So, yeah, that's all I wanted to come up here and say. God bless y'all. Enjoy y'all day. God bless.